Welcome, everybody, to this Wednesday edition of Just the News, No Noise. I'm your host, Amanda Head, here in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. My co-host, John Solomon, is out on assignment tonight, but he's going to be rejoining me tomorrow. Now, tonight, the House is voting on finally reopening the government after the longest shutdown in American history, whether you felt it or not. Now, we're going to have quite a bit on that tonight as the vote continues, including some reaction for both sides of the aisle. And let's start with the Democrats, because as I showed you last night, a number of them are not very happy about efforts to reopen the government. And believe it or not, some actually admitted that they believed the shutdown was worth it. Seriously, watch this from CNN of all places.
Shutdown worth it? Yeah, I think so. I hate it. But yeah, it was worth it, definitely. We got people to pay attention to the fact that this is a traumatic, in many cases, life or death situation for people all over this country. Was the shutdown worth it?
I think it was, because I think the perception, we made it clear that this, not just the healthcare issue, but the whole issue.
And the infighting has continued over on the Democrat side. For example, a lot of us have been speculating that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was keeping the government closed so that he wouldn't be seen as caving into President Trump in the hopes of keeping a possible Senate run from Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at bay. Well, it turns out the AOC is already in campaign mode.
I think it's important that we understand that this is not just about Senator Schumer, but that this is about the Democratic Party. Senator Schumer, there's no one vote that ended this shutdown. We are talking about a coordinated effort of 8 senators with the knowledge of Leader Schumer voting to break with the entire Democratic Party in exchange for nothing.
So what you just saw there was an attack on Schumer presented as an attack on the whole party. That kind of thing is exactly what Minority Leader Schumer was trying to avoid. Now, like I said, we are going to have a lot more on this throughout the show tonight. But moving on now to FBI Director Kash Patel, who announced that the U.S. and China reached an agreement to combat fentanyl precursors, quote, at a level never seen before.
Thanks to President Trump's direct engagement with President Xi, the government of China committed fully to my engagement there on the ground in Beijing at a level never seen before. While at Ministry of Public Security headquarters, I met with my counterpart at MPS, where the Chinese government agreed on a plan to stop fentanyl precursors. What does that mean? The People's Republic of China has fully designated and listed all 13 precursors utilized to make fentanyl. Furthermore, they have agreed to control 7 chemical subsidiaries that are also utilized to produce this lethal drug.
And FBI Director Patel went on to say that President Trump had shut off the pipeline that creates fentanyl and kills tens of thousands of Americans a year. Director Patel also said that these fentanyl precursors would no longer be used by the Mexican drug cartels, presumably because they wouldn't be made anymore or because they're getting blown up in the Caribbean. Now, fentanyl was one of the subjects of conversation between President Trump and Chinese President Xi last month at their meeting in South Korea. And it was after that meeting that President Trump announced that the Chinese would be taking real steps to end the manufacture of the fentanyl precursors. However, as with anything that the CCP says, we are going to need to, tacitly trust but verify. Let's put it that way. All right, everybody. So we are keeping an eye on the shutdown vote, and joining us now is Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. Congresswoman, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. It's good to be on. I appreciate you having me.
We are delighted to have you. Tell us the mood on the floor right now. I know the vote is, we're still waiting on it to happen, but what's the mood?
Well, this is the first time many of us have seen each other in quite some time, so everybody's catching up.
Yeah.
Very excited to be back on the floor, ready to vote this in and ready to move forward and make sure that we are going to be back all next week, Monday through Friday, on voting on bills that all of us have introduced and are excited to have. So I think we have looked at this government shutdown as being all about nothing. I think, I hate to give AOC credit, but, she said it quite right. Schumer shut this down, and at the end of 43 days, they've gotten absolutely nothing. But they knew that going into it. Instead, what you've seen is 1.3 million military wondering when they're going to get their next paycheck. You saw 13,000 air traffic controllers without pay who are still going to work. And you saw 43 million people lose their SNAP benefits. This was all preventable, and this was all because you had Democrats like Chuck Schumer not actually wanting to give in to their radical left base. It was completely avoidable, and finally we are back here because a little more than a handful of Democrats in the Senate got some sense.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely avoidable, and a game of chicken that, as far as I think the voters are concerned, Democrats lost, because we just played a montage of Democrat members of Congress saying that it was, quote, worth it, literally, to have this shutdown. But in the end, their voters perceived that they caved. So how is that worth it?
I don't think it's worth. I think everyone that I just saw that was just interviewed took a deep pause beforehand and said, okay, I have to say it was worth it, because otherwise I'm admitting that this was a total waste of time and a failure. So yeah, they're going to have to say that to save face. But the fact is that we just lost 43 days of business that we could have been doing, and not to mention the damage on the economy. I think the press secretary today said it best when she started itemizing how much this is going to cost the American people and our economy because of an unnecessary shutdown. So I am anxious to be back. I think we're looking at 3 spending bills and appropriations, including agriculture. You're looking at legislative and our veterans bills that hopefully will get passed as well tonight. Now, I know that John Thune has promised a vote on extending some of the provisions on healthcare. We'll see if that actually happens in the House. I don't believe that Speaker Johnson has made any such promise. But moving forward, we're going to be here all next week, voting on bills. And again, I am just thankful that a little over a handful of senior Senate Democrats came to their senses.
What was it that brought Democrats to the table? Was there anything that really anything of substance that really changed, or was it really just them kind of needing some type of cop-out to say, well, at least we got this?
So I did our job. The House did its job and it passed a bill. I have not been in any of the meetings with the senators. But if I had to guess, I would say that they were feeling the pain. They were feeling those strong opinions from many of their constituents who were making no harshness in calling them and letting them know this is ridiculous. Open the government back up. I think they realized that this was a fool's effort. Was all for nothing, and they were getting calls. So I think constituents should be very proud of yourselves that you actually, were able to move the dial on a number of your Democrat senators, which is what we've been saying all along. But moving forward, there's a difference. You look at what Republicans have been able to do even in the last 6 weeks. We passed our one big beautiful bill before we left that is giving something to seniors. It's giving something to people who, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, giving seniors more dollars. We are opening the economy. We are bringing back businesses from overseas. We're looking at manufacturing, focus on the middle class. These are all things to give people opportunity, more money in their pockets, and more ability to be able to be successful. On the opposite side, you see Democrats vote 15 times to keep a government shut down, have not only just federal money not being paid, federal employees not being paid, but the risk and the harm that it's done on the American public, all while complaining that we're not at work. And yet I've been up to DC a number of times in the last 6 weeks. I have yet to see very many of my Democrats. And for those of them who are taking paychecks, shame on you.
Yeah, I got to say, from the videos that I've seen on social media, it doesn't seem like Democrats are exactly champing at the bit to get back to work on Capitol Hill. I want to ask you about Speaker Johnson's role in this. I will be quite candid. Over the course of the last month or so, we've had a number of members of Congress on this show. I've spoken to voters out in the country who were a little concerned that Speaker Johnson might not hold the line. He has. Was that of his own volition, or did he need some of you guys to really kind of help him remain tough in all of this?
I think Speaker Johnson does not get enough credit where credit is due. He is a very strong man. He's very much a man of his word, and I think he read the rest of the conference that was saying, "Look, none of us voted for the ACA. None of us are going to vote for the advanced provisions. If you bring this back to the House, it will not pass." But that also being said, Mike Johnson was here when this was all happening, and he didn't support those provisions. So I think not only did he do what was good for his constituents, what was good for the conference, I think he also did what he believed was best for the country. And for that, I applaud him. I think he deserves a lot more credit than a lot of the mainstream media give him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been amazing to see. Texas Congresswoman, I'm hearing from your people that you got to go because you got to go vote. So
I got to go
duty
vote.
calls.
Yeah, we're about to vote on the
Thank
floor.
you
And I got
so
to make
much.
sure I'm there.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so
Have a
much
great
for
night.
being here. Absolutely. All right, everybody, we're going to take a very quick break, but we're going to make it up on the other side. Don't worry. What if the medicine that helped save millions during the pandemic was made mostly in China? It's true. About 58% of the world's ivermectin supply comes from China and 75% from Asia overall, but not the wellness companies. Introducing American-made ivermectin, safe, trusted, and produced right here in the United States. Ivermectin has been prescribed globally for more than 30 years and even earned the Nobel Prize in Medicine for its proven ability to eliminate parasites and support overall health. And new research also points to potential benefits for skin, immune, and cancer support. Now, most pharmacies charge $5 a tablet, but the wellness company is offering a higher 18 milligram dose for just over $3 each. You're going to get a 6-month supply designed for 4 21-day cleanse cycles, all at an unbeatable price. Support American medicine, not China's supply chain. Get your U.S.-made ivermectin today at twc.health/justnews and use the code JUSTNEWS to save $30 off plus free shipping.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice, Real Minute. What was George Washington like before he became our nation's first president? The brand new film Young Washington tells the untold story of Washington's early life, his failures, and how that shaped his path to become the leader that would spawn America's independence. It's a bold, authentic story that is neither woke nor watered down, and it's directed by John Irwin, who brought the world I Can Only Imagine, American Underdog, and Jesus Revolution. Take a listen to Irwin talk about the project here.
First of all, it's an incredible story. It's a story that not many people know. What's interesting about George Washington is it wasn't his greatest victory that defined him as a young man, it was his greatest failure and how he responded to it that made him George Washington.
Everyone kind of knows George Washington as our first president, but few know how he actually got there. The defeats, the misfortune, the critical mistakes at Fort Necessity, dashing all of his hopes and dreams. He resigned his position and became an aide to a general, and in an unreal act of bravery, took fate into his own hands.
And Washington, in this act of bravery with strength that he didn't have, mounted a horse and charged towards the battlefield when everyone else was running away. He had 3 horses shot out from underneath him. He had 4 bullet holes, 2 in his jacket, 1 in his hat, and he just became George Washington in this moment on the field of battle.
The idea that there was a divine hand in Washington being saved that fateful day is a key theme of young Washington's tale. It's 1 part Pride and Prejudice and 1 part The Revenant. It's the story of how a man didn't let defeat define him, but instead took that defeat and turned it not only into his own fate, but the fate of this new nation. And the best part of all, it's a true story. Young Washington's release will be on July 4th of next year, which coincides with America's 250th birthday. You're going to want early access to this film, especially to get tickets for its opening day. And here's how you go do it. Go to angel.com/RAV and become a premium Angel Guild member, which will give you 2 free tickets to the movie, but in addition, that gives you access to every streaming show or movie on Angel's platform. And you'll also get exclusive behind-the-scenes access leading up to the premiere. So go to angel.com/RAV today to get that access, follow the journey of young Washington, and help make this the #1 movie of 2026.